Hello and welcome again, dear student. I welcome you to this lesson as we proceed with the Bible knowledge in Form 3. Remember, we are analyzing the book of Isaiah, Proto-Isaiah. We are looking at a number of issues pertaining to the prophecies of the prophet Isaiah. This time around, we are looking at Isaiah chapter 3 from verse 1 to verse 15, and of course, we'll be proceeding to other passages as well. I welcome you to be attentive and follow through up to the end. I am your usual teacher, Bible knowledge teacher, W.A. Mawowa. Now, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to analyze the work of the first Isaiah. So, still more, our main objective of this lesson is to analyze, to dig deeper into the work of first Isaiah. So, we'll be looking at a number of issues: leadership crisis in Jerusalem, a warning to the women of Jerusalem, and again, you need also to understand about Jerusalem, how Jerusalem will be restored. So we're talking of the crisis in Jerusalem on leadership, and that led again into another chaos, which led to the warning to the women in Jerusalem. So be there up to the end and follow through. To begin with, we are starting with this chaos in Jerusalem. Isaiah chapter 3, verse 1 through 15. Now, here we are looking at the political crisis now in Jerusalem. Now, things are moving in Jerusalem, but there is crisis, political crisis. What was there? What happened really for Judah, for Jerusalem to be in crisis? So let us go through together. Now, as usual, remember, I always tell you that we cannot learn BK without the Good News Bible. Not any other Bible, but the Good News Bible. So make sure that you have the Good News Bible with you as we follow through along. Now, there are verses 1 through 15 that we are supposed to read, but I'll read the first few verses and you complete the rest, then we'll go into our business. From verse 1. Now the Lord, the Almighty Lord, is about to take away from Jerusalem and Judah everything and everyone that the people depend on. He is going to take away the food and their water, their heroes and their soldiers, their judges and their prophets, their fortune tellers and their statesmen, their military and civilian leaders, their politicians, and everyone who uses magic to control events. Verse 4. The Lord will let the people be governed by immature boys. Everyone will take advantage of everyone else. Young people will not respect their elders, and worthless people will not respect their superiors. Verse 6. At a time will come when the members of a clan will choose one of their member and say to him, "You at least have something to wear to be our leader. So be our leader in this time of trouble." Verse 7, but he will answer, "Not me. I can't help you. I haven't any food or clothes either. Don't make me your leader." Yes, Jerusalem is doomed. Judah is collapsing. Everyone they say and do is against the Lord. They openly insult God himself. Verse 9. Their prejudices will be held against them. They sin as openly as people of Sodom did. They are doomed and they have brought it on themselves. Verse 10. The righteous will be happy and things will go well for them. They will be able to enjoy what they have worked for. But evil people are doomed. What they have done to others will not be done to them. So I have gone through up to verse 11. So you can continue with the 4 remaining verses there. Now, we are talking of the political factors that led to the leadership crisis in Jerusalem. We have just read here the passage. So what are those political factors that led to the crisis in Jerusalem? So we see here that Ahaz was young and inexperienced, weak, and became easily threatened by the foreign powers. So we see that Ahaz, as the king, he was inexperienced. Leading citizens had been exiled to Nineveh by the Assyrians. So by this time, when there was crisis, we see that the Assyrians came, attacked, and they took all the leading citizens, they took them to Nineveh, the capital city of Assyria. So people refused responsibility. So when they thought that they don't have able leaders, even the people who remained there, they did not like to be leaders. Now, what did Yahweh promise to take away from Jerusalem and Judah? So we have seen there is political crisis in Jerusalem. Now, because of sin, now we see that Yahweh says, I'm going to take away now something from Judah. What are these things that he's going to take away? We see that he's going to take away food, water, heroes and soldiers, judges and prophets, fortune tellers and statesmen, military and civilian leaders, politicians, everyone who uses magic to control events. So in other words here, we see that God is going to take away everything that the people depend on. That's what we have read in the passage. So we see that God is there to take away from Jerusalem everything that the people are dependent on. What are those? We have outlined them here: military and civilian leaders, politicians, and everyone, fortune tellers and statesmen. They are all going to be taken away. But now, what kind of leaders was God going to take away? He has mentioned of the leaders. There, earlier, we just mentioned of everything that he is going to take away, including the leaders. But specifically, what type of leaders he is going to take away? We see that he is going to take away heroes and soldiers, judges and prophets, fortune tellers and statesmen, military and civilian leaders, politicians and magicians. Now, even in the passage there, you can also see that they have been combined like that. Now, when the question comes, you have also to answer just as it is: heroes and soldiers, fortune tellers and statesmen, politicians and magicians. Don't say politicians, magicians, military. You have to combine them as they are. So that's when we say you are doing a good analysis of what you have read from the passage. Now, if we make a summary of what God promised to take away from Judah, we can say everything and everyone they depended on, food and water, and every leader they had. So everything and everyone they depended on, food and water, every leader they had. So we can summarize everything that God is going to take away from Judah in that way. But now, what would be the consequences or results of Yahweh's action? We have read the passage that this Yahweh's action is going to have the consequences. What are the actions? So people will be governed by immature boys or inexperienced people. So we have read that one. And everyone will take advantage of everyone else. So everyone will see an advantage on the presence of the other person. Young people will not respect their elders. Worthless people will not respect their superiors, as well as people will run away from responsibilities or refuse to take up leadership positions. So that is a sign of total chaos now, because you can imagine that there are elders in the community, but they are ruled by young people, immature boys. Like maybe an 11-year-old boy is becoming a king, of people who are 70, 50, 40 years. How can you say about that? That is total chaos. Total chaos. But now, how will Yahweh punish his people? How is he going to punish these people? So we have already, we are still emphasizing on the point there to say he is going to punish them by uh, uh, taking away food and water leaders. People will be governed by immature boys. Qualified people will refuse responsibility. Young people will not respect their leaders or elders. And worthless people will not respect their superiors. But now, here now we go to say what would be the reasons why Yahweh is going to punish his people. So, or in other words, what would lead Jerusalem and Judah into such chaos? So when Yahweh has taken away everything, there is total chaos here. So what is going to be, what will lead to this total chaos? So everything people said and did was against Yahweh. So why are they punished? It's because everything they did, everything they said, it was against Yahweh. So they openly insulted Yahweh. They sinned openly as people of Sodom did. That's what we have also gone through the passage. Moneylenders oppressed or exploited God's poor people. Creditors cheated God's poor people. So we see here that God's favorites, the poor, they are being oppressed. They are being cheated on by those people who had, which is openly showing that everyone is getting advantage of the other. For example, when we see like in our society, there is a commodity, let's take an example of fuel. Then there's that shortage of fuel. You find that there is a certain group of people taking advantage of that. Say, all right, because there is no fuel in the filling station now, let us raise the prices. You find that 1 liter goes to 8,000, 6,000, 5,000, like that from the normal price. So we see that one, everyone taking advantage of the other. That is chaos. So it was chaos in Jerusalem because people openly sinned against God. What did God accuse the leaders and elders of? So God is accusing the people there. He's accusing the people, especially the leaders. What are they accused of? They plundered the vineyard of the poor. They had filled their houses with what they had taken from the poor. They had crushed God's poor people. They had taken advantage of the poor. So you see, the question there is about the poor, the God's favorite there. So always in a society, you have to know that God has his favorites. How do you know them? The poor, according to this context. But those people who had something, they were oppressing those, the favorite of God. Instead of assisting them, they were grabbing even the little things they had. They were abusing them, misusing them. Then because of that, the leaders and the elders of the society of Judah or Jerusalem, they are being accused of oppressing the poor, taking advantage of the poor. In this case, we see that Jerusalem is mentioned to say it is doomed. Why? Why? So the Assyrians will ruin the country. So the Assyrians will come and attack the country because the leaders and the elders, they are not governing properly. There is crisis. They have allowed crisis to take place in Judah. In this case, we see that Jerusalem is doomed. So why is God saying that Jerusalem is doomed? Possibly he is saying that there is coming danger. There is coming danger because of your situation that you have allowed to take place in your territory. So what was that danger? It was the Assyrians who will come and attack and ruin the country. So the judgment to come. So describe the judgment to come. What is the judgment that Yahweh is proclaiming on Judah? So the righteous will be separated from the wicked. We see there that the righteous will be happy. The wicked will be doomed. What they have done to others will be done to them. So they oppressed the poor. They oppressed the widows. Injustice was there. So because of that now, they were wicked. Because of what they have done, them who had oppressed others, they will also be oppressed. So that's the judgment to come. But now, what led to the chaos? So leaders were misleading the people. So the core of chaos in Jerusalem, we see it here that the leaders were misleading the people. But now, what will the people why will the people be governed by immature boys? So there's also a mention there in the statement. If you can remember, we just read the mentioning of governing of the mature boys. Immature boys will govern the people. So why? So the elders will not be willing to take up leadership positions. So those who are elders in the societies, those people who are seen to have something, they will refuse the responsibilities. Now, what will the excuses people give? What excuses will the people give? So here is a list of the excuses that the people will give. What are they? According to the passage we have mentioned there, the others, they say, I cannot help you, I have no food, I have no clothes. So we see there that people, those who seemingly to be responsible, they will refuse the leadership positions. Why? They say, I cannot help you, I have no food, I have no clothes. But people see them to be, maybe this one is fit enough to lead us. Then someone says, no, I cannot be a leader. Now, what would happen to the following groups of people according to the passage that we are analyzing here? The righteous, what will happen to them? They will be happy. They will enjoy what they have worked for. Things will go well for them. So we see there, at the end, we have seen the proclamation of judgment there. In that chaos, there is judgment to say, okay, there is a separation between the wicked and the righteous. So the righteous, they will be happy. They will enjoy what they worked for and things will go well for them. What about the evil people? The evil people. So these ones, they are doomed. They had done to others. They are doomed. So what they have done to others will be done to them as well. So we see they are doomed. They will be attacked. They will be ruined. So there we have looked at that passage where we are looking at the chaos in Jerusalem. So within that chaos, as we proceed now from verse 16 up to chapter 4, verse 1, we see here now there is a warning now to the women of Jerusalem. Within that chaos, there is another warning now that comes in. So when you proceed up to chapter 4, verse 1, you read something interesting about the warnings given to the women of Jerusalem. What's the warning? What were the women of Jerusalem accused of? So what sin did they commit? So number one, pride, which makes them despise the poor. Arrogance, shown in holding their heads high while taking little dainty steps. They were walking with little dainty steps. Always fleeting, seducing men, yeah. And also excessive love of luxuries. They liked so many luxuries there. They seduced men, and also they liked showing off. I have this, I have that. Then those are the accusations. But how will God punish these women? So because God is warning them, He's telling them even the punishment that will befall them. What is the punishment? Their heads will be shaven bald. So their heads will be shaven bald. All their ornaments and jewels will be taken away. Their bodies will stink. They will lose their husbands in war. Remember, the Assyrians are coming. The Assyrians are coming to attack the wicked. So, because the women of Jerusalem are also weak, their husbands are also going to die during that time of war. They will suffer the disgrace of being childless and without a husband. Poverty, since they will dress in rags, so they will be dressed in rags. Their ornaments will be taken away. And also their beauty will turn to shame. So look at that. Beautiful women will become ugly. Why is punishing wrongdoers sometimes necessary? So here, let us think about this. They are the women of Jerusalem, the leaders, and all the elders are punished because of the sins. Now we are applying it into our context. Why is it necessary to punish someone who has done wrong? So, number one, it reforms the wrongdoers for the good of or benefit of the society. So, it reforms the wrongdoer. Number two, it deters others from doing the same thing, the same wrong things. It abrogates or annuls the wrong done. So, that thing that is done now, it is made to public that this one is wrong. It is shown that this one is wrong. And in case of capital punishment, death penalty, for example, it eliminates wrongdoers. So there are some other countries, they say someone was killed, the other person must be killed. So why do they do that? To eliminate the wrongdoers. To say, all right, you kill, you are killed, like that. You are eliminated in that way. But now, explain how the women of Jerusalem will be disgraced and humbled. So we have somehow looked at how they will be disgraced there. So the Lord will take away everything they are proud of. What are they? We talked of the perfumes, the ornaments, the clothes, and everything. Instead of using perfumes, they will stink. They will stink. Instead of fine belts, they wear coarse ropes. Imagine wearing a rope for a belt. Instead of having beautiful hair, they'll be bald. Imagine a lady in bald, no hair. Imagine that, a lady moving with her head without hair. And also, instead of fine clothes, they'll be dressed in rags. Instead of beautiful, beautiful clothes, imagine a lady moving in rags. Their beauty will be turned into shame. Look at that. So they'll be really humbled and disgraced. So relate, therefore, what the women will say to convince a man to marry them. When you read that passage, it's really interesting. What did the women say to convince men? Because we have said that their men, their husbands will die in war. Now, they'll try to convince other people to marry them. So what are they going to say? So this is what they are going to say. We can feed and clothe ourselves, but please let us say you are our husband so that we won't have to endure the shame of being unmarried. So they say, at least we can, although we are in rags now, we are stinking, but please marry us. 7 women who come to 1 man. 7 women. Please marry us. Marry us. We are going to have our own clothes, our own food, but we just need to have a name to say we are married women. That's shame. That's shameful. But however, at last, Jerusalem will be restored. Jerusalem will be restored. So in chapter 4, we have that one. Chapter 4, from verse 2. Let's go through a little bit. From verse 2 in chapter 4, it says, the time is coming when the Lord will make every plant and tree in the land grow large and beautiful. All the people of Israel who survive will take delight and pride in the crops that the land produces. Everyone who is left in Jerusalem, whom God has chosen for survival, will be called holy. By his power, the Lord will judge and purify the nation and wash away the guilt of Jerusalem and the blood that has been shed there. Then over Mount Zion and over all who are gathered there, the Lord will send a cloud in the daytime and smoke and a bright flame at night. God's glory will cover and protect the whole city. His glory shade the city from the heat of the day and make it a place of safety and sheltered from the rain and storm. So here we see God is going to restore Jerusalem after everything is wiped out. But how? How is Jerusalem going to be restored? So according to the passage, there will be new growth after destruction. What else? There will be holiness after cleansing. All the wicked are gone. Then there is holiness there. God will punish the people in order to clean the nation. And God will be with the people. So we see here, Jerusalem is going to be restored. Everyone who is there will be called holy because the wicked are gone. List the symbols of the presence of God. We have read there. If you were attentive, there are some symbols of the presence of God to show that God is present amongst these holy people who are left there. What are the symbols that are there? We have read about the cloud. He will provide the cloud in the daytime, smoke at night, the bright flame at night. So these are the symbols of God's presence after he has wiped out everything, every wickedness in Jerusalem. But also, there is also a mention of this phrase, plant and tree. What do they mean? So this one means the Messiah who will bring a kingdom of peace and justice, and the survivors who kept their faith in God. So when there is a mention of the plant and tree, the plant and tree is mentioned there in verse 4. The time is coming when the Lord will make every plant and tree in the land grow large and beautiful. Plant and tree. So what is that? It means the Messiah who will bring a kingdom of peace and justice. Survivors who kept their faith in God. Now, to this far, we have come to the end of this lesson. Now, before I leave you, as usual, I usually go back into the examinations because the end of it all, after learning everything, you need to sit for exams. But the exams that you are going to sit are not new because the things that you are learning, your friends have already gone through again. Now, in 2011, there was a question, manual question, that was also asked from the same passage. It carried 20 marks, 4 marks, 8 marks, 8 marks. Now, how can you handle this question? If it were you, you have been asked from the same passage that we have analyzed today. How can you handle these 20 marks? Now, I ask you to attempt this question, try it, and try to respond and send it to me. I will try by all means to give you the feedback. Now, if you have anything, any question, please forward them to the WhatsApp number that is here. And for further studies, because you're a student of not only Bible knowledge, you study geography, chemistry, mathematics, and the like, I would urge you to go to Xulendo.org. If you go to Xulendo.org, you'll find a lot of materials there that will assist you even after your classwork. And for further consultations, you can also go through these books that are here. Then you'll also find other good information. But until next time, I am your teacher, W.A. Mawowa. Keep on listening to the voice of substance. Till next time, thank you so much.